Hare Krishna. So, welcome to all the devotees to our Bhakti Sastri Nectar of Devotion. As usual, we will start our regular class by chanting the Mangala Charan prayers in order to invoke some auspicious. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tashmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Bangam Hete Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Gurun Dinataranam Nana Sastra Vicharanai Kaniguna Sadharma Samstapaka Lokanam Hitakarina Tribhuvane Manyav Saranyakara Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nande Namatalika Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Sri Jiva Gopalaka Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Sri Jiva Gopalaka. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, and Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they were taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Jai Sri Sri Sat Goswami Vrindavan ki Jai. Srila Rupa Goswami ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So continuing our discussion on the nectar of devotion, in the previous class we have discussed further consideration that we have to really consider. Especially we were discussing about daily worship, chanting of the holy names, and also prayers. So that was in the chapter 9. And this section, our today's section, chapter 10, 11, 12, hopefully we can cover these three chapters. Actually, not so much different with the chapter 8, where Srila Rupa Goswami giving different evidences from different scriptures regarding the 64 angas of bhakti. So we're going to have a look to all these angas of bhakti, continuing from our previous discussion. Hare Krishna. So we start with the chapter number 10. Yeah, techniques of hearing and remembering. Scriptural evidence is given from items 43 through 46 of the 64 angas of bhakti, with emphasis on hearing and remembering. Okay. So first, Sravana, hearing. The beginning of Krishna consciousness and devotional service is hearing, in Sanskrit called Sravanam. All people should be given the chance to come and join devotional parties so that they may hear. This hearing is very important for progressing in Krishna consciousness. When one links his ears to give oral reception to the transcendental vibrations, he can quickly become purified and cleansed in the heart. Yeah. So there are so many evidences in the scriptures given, especially from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Hyabadrani Vidunoti Subhrit Satam. So when we hear the narration of the Lord, Krishna is already there within our heart. So when we hear his pastimes or his devotees' pastimes, glorification about Krishna or Krishna's devotees, so that's actually invoke Krishna who already within our heart to cleanse our heart from abadrani. Abadrani means that which is unwanted things. You know, abadrani or anartha. Artha means something that we really want, and anartha means something that we don't want. Anartha, we don't want. So hridyantasto hyabadrani vidunoti subrit satam. Then we get purification by this process, yeah, hearing on the regular basis. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended this process of hearing as a means of self-realization in the present age of Kali. In this age, it is very difficult to follow thoroughly the regulative principles and studies of the Vedas which were formally recommended. However, if one gives oral reception to the sound vibrated by great devotees and acharyas, to that alone will give him relief from all material contamination. Therefore, Therefore, it is the recommendation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one should simply hear from authorities who were actually devotees of the Lord. Hearing from professional men will not help. So this is another very significant aspect of hearing. So we not simply just hearing something or about spiritual subject matter, but from whom we should hear also, that's matter a lot. That's matter a lot. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended, mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, that we must hear only from the devotees of the Lord, because the devotees of the Lord only knows the good intention of what Krishna Katha meant for. So as much as possible, we have to avoid hearing from the professional reciters, because their aim, their goal by reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavat Saptaha, especially here in India, it is very common, just to get some money, just to get some money. They add some beautiful musical background to make the atmosphere like really alive. But in their mind, they just simply want the money. Rather, the devotees of the Lord, when they speak something about Krishna Katha, that's with a clear mentality that they just want to share something about Krishna and to purify the atmosphere, to purify he himself as the speaker and also the audience who hears. Pravristakarnarandrena swanam bhava saroruham dinoti samalam Krishna salilasya yatha sarat. So salilasya yatha sarat. Sarat means autumn. Normally in the autumn, there will be some rain. So the pool of our heart full of dirt, the pool of our heart full of dirt. So when there is heavy rains, torrents of rains, so what happened? So the water, which is already there, contaminated water, which is already there in the pool of our heart, when the new, fresh, clean water pouring down from the sky, so this the dirt will wash away and will be replaced by new, freshly water. So similarly, pravrista karnarandrena, by giving by surrendering our ear, by giving our oral reception. That's actually the sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration, will penetrate through our ear, goes to the heart and cleanse the heart. So purification will take place when we hear from the devotees of the Lord, because the devotees of the Lord knows Krishna Tattva very, very clearly, and their intention is always, they speak this because of out of their compassion. Out of their compassion, they speak Krishna Katha. They just want to share Krishna. They just want to share Krishna. There is no hidden agendas, private agendas. There is no such thing as to get money, or like professional reciter as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. So hearing is the first item mentioned out of the 9 processes of devotional service mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj, and this is the foundation actually. Everybody who get in touch with the devotees, immediately they will get the chance of hearing. That's why Srila Prabhupada actually, he wanted all the ISKCON centers to become an educational institution by which people get the chance to hear Krishna Katha, to hear the glorification of Lord Krishna and his devotees. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur noticed that Srila Prabhupada was very attentive when he was in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. When he was hearing from his Guru Maharaj Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Srila Prabhupada was very, very attentive. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur noted that he pointed to Srila Prabhupada that you are hearing very attentively. You will make progress very quickly. So that was the power simply by hearing Krishna Katha. And then expecting the Lord's mercy. Yeah, this is one of the very famous prayers in the 10th canto by Lord Brahma. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 8, it is said, "My dear Lord, any person who is constantly awaiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him, and who goes on suffering and suffering the resultant action of his past misdeeds, offering your respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible to become liberated, for it has become his rightful claim." So that was the verse. Bunjana evat makritam vipakam. Oh Lord, it is just because of my misdeeds in the previous life, my past misdeeds. Bunjana evat makritam vipakam. Hridva vapurbir vidadam namaste. But still, such a devotee, such a pure devotee will always continue serving Krishna despite of anything, despite of all the miseries that come to his life. Jivetayo mukte pade sadhaya bhak. So for such a devotee, liberation becomes his rightful claim. And then Srila Prabhupada continue, by such activities, he earns his claim to enter into the kingdom of God. So if we really persistent with full determination, despite of anything, any problem, no problem, any problem or no problem, still we continue to serve Krishna and his devotees, then liberation or Vaikunta becoming our rightful claim. So that becomes our privilege. The exact word used in this verse is Daya Bhak. Daya Bhak refers to a son's becoming the lawful inheritor of the property of the father. In a similar way, a pure devotee who is prepared to undergo all kinds of tribulations in executing Krishna consciousness duties become lawfully qualified to enter into the transcendental abode. So just like a person, for example, if you have a rich father, so if you want his wealth to be inherited by you, what are you supposed to do? Just remain becoming his son. That's it. Just remain becoming his son. Don't go away from home. Don't reject your father. Don't say that, Father, I have enough. I'm going. I'm finished. Don't say like that. If you want to inherit your father's property, just remain to become his nice son. Then when time comes, your father will write some kind of last will or whatever, and then he will write your name there to be the inheritor of his wealth, of his properties. So similarly, also like that, our father, Lord Krishna, he is the richest man. He is the richest man. So if we want to go back home, back to Godhead and enjoy his property in the spiritual world, of course, everything is Krishna's property. But when we talk about spiritual world, that's Krishna's. Okay. And then if we want to be eligible to enter the spiritual world, just remain becoming Krishna's devotee. Doesn't matter what happens. Just remain faithful to become Krishna's devotee. Then we can enter the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka. It is interesting that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, after being preached by Lord Chaitanya, actually he wanted to change this verse. Instead of Jivetayo Mukte Sadhaya Bha, the word Mukti, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he wanted to change to be Bhakti, Jiveta Bhakti, like that. But Jivetayo Mukti, but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he wanted to change Jivetayo Bhakti, Pade Sadhaya, but Bhakti Pade Sadhaya. Because according to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, bhakti, devotional service to Krishna, is much more higher than simply liberation. Simply liberation. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to know about this, and then he immediately told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, well, you have very nice intention, but you cannot change the Srimad Bhagavatam like this. You cannot change. So that's about expecting the Lord's mercy. So first about hearing, the technique of hearing, we have to be very attentive, attentively hearing, just like a chataka bird. It is described. When we hear, we have to be like a chataka bird. How is chataka bird? The chataka bird is also known as the cloud bird. Doesn't matter there is thunder in the sky. He just, he just drinks the pure water directly from the cloud. The chataka bird will never drink any water which already touched the ground. So similarly, expecting the Lord's mercy also like this, just like the chataka bird showing its determination despite of any thunder on the sky or whatever, he remained just under the cloud and opening its beak, waiting for the drop of the water directly from the sky. So hearing, we have to only hear about Krishna Katha, no Gramya Katha. Tyara Prayasacha Prajalpo. This is called Prajalpa. Something which is not related to Krishna Katha is Prajalpa, expecting the Lord's mercy. So we have to be always remain humble and meek, while expecting Krishna's mercy, because Krishna's mercy will flow when somebody is really humble. When the devotee is humble, then Krishna's mercy will flow. When the devotee start thinking that, oh, I'm great, I can do it, I'm so capable of doing this and that, then just like an independent person saying that, oh, I can do it, I don't need your help, then naturally we will not help. But if somebody said that, oh, please help me, I'm so incapable of doing this, kindly help, then naturally people will help. This is called Atma Niksepa. Atma Niksepa is one of the six symptoms, six characteristics of Saranagati, described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Atma Niksepa means we feel helpless. Without Krishna's mercy, we can't do anything. We can't even serve Krishna without Krishna's mercy. So service is something which is given by Lord Krishna through his devotees. Like this, it is not something that we can get it by our own endeavor, but service is Krishna's property. If Krishna willing, then he will give it. How we can get the service? By begging that service from Krishna through his devotees. So that's about expecting the Lord's mercy. And then remembrance. some way or other, if someone establishes in his mind his continuous relationship with Krishna, this relationship is called remembrance. About this remembrance, there is a nice statement in the Vishnu Purana where it is said, simply by remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities become eligible for all kinds of auspiciousness. Therefore, let me always remember the Lord who is unborn and eternal. Yeah, remembering Lord Krishna. This is the fundamental, um, the basic principles, the topmost law amongst millions of laws in the scriptures. Smartavya satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jat sarve vidhi nisidasya. Etayor eva kinkara. So etayor eva kinkara. All other um, rules and regulation, they are the kinkara, they are the servants of these two rules. Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Always remember Lord Krishna, Vishnu. Vismartavyo na jat, and never forget. And in various places in the scripture, it is very much emphasized about remembering the Lord, like what is that? Manmana Bhavamat Bhakto in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. 2 times it is mentioned in the 9th chapter and in the 18th chapter. Manmana Bhavamat. To always remember. Savai Mana Krishna Padar. The Srimad Bhagavatam. Ambarish Maharaj always thinking about Krishna. Savai Mana Krishna Pada. So always remember about Krishna. And yeah, there are so many places where it is mentioned. So of course, how the remembrance about Krishna will come when we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, in the service of the Lord, and when we hear, especially when we hear and chant. Therefore, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and then Smaranam, remembrance of the Lord will be possible when we hear continuously, when we chant continuously, or engaging our different senses in the service of the Lord. Then it is possible, remembering Krishna. Sahanistan Mahachidra Samoha Sha Chavi Brahma Yan Muhurtam Kshanam Vapi Vasudevana Chintayan. So it is mentioned also in the Vishnu Purana, apart from this verse, which is quoted by Rupa Goswami. So where it is mentioned that Sahanistan Mahachidram, Chidra means defect or fault. Mahat mean great. So it is a great fault, a great defect when we Vasudeva na chintaya yan muhurtam kshanam vapi yan muhurtam, even a slight moment when we forget about Vasudeva, that's the greatest defect, that's the greatest mistake. Sahanistan Mahachitra Sa Moha Sa. That means we are being illusioned by the external energy when we don't remember Vasudeva. Samohasa, Chavi Brahma, our memory is lost. Our memory is stolen by Maya. Yan Murtam Ksanam Vapi Vasudeva Nachi. Therefore, somehow or other, we have to remember Krishna somehow or other. And that somehow or other means by engaging our service, by engaging our senses in Krishna's service. Then it is possible to remember Krishna, especially the first 2 out of the 9 processes mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam and Kirtanam. Then Smaranam will come. And after that, Mananam. Manana means contemplation. So not only simply remember, but we contemplate about Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, or even Krishna's devotees. So yeah, that's about remembrance. In the Padma Purana, the same remembrance is explained as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, because if someone remembers him, either at the time of death or during his span of life, he becomes free from all sinful reaction. Yeah. Antakale chamameva smaran mukva kalevaram ya prayati samad bhavam yatinastya samsaipa. So when we remember Krishna at the time of death, we'll go back to his lotus feet and serve him eternally in the spiritual world. And even while in the material world, when we remember Krishna, that's also purifying us from the sinful reactions. Okay. And then the next one is that meditation. To meditate means to engage the mind in thinking of the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the activities of the Lord, and the service of the Lord. Meditation does not mean anything personal or void. So meditation means to meditate upon something which has a form. Yeah, you cannot meditate. Actually, Srila Prabhupada said this impersonalism are actually bogus. Nobody can meditate on something void because the mind will always capture some picture. That's the nature of the mind, the function of the mind. There's even when we sleep, the very fact that we are dreaming, that's actually the mind is remain working and capturing some picture and also making some videos, let's say like that. When we dream, we are imagining something to happen. That's some kind of video, right? So similarly, Prabhupada said that this meditation on voidism is actually bogus. Nobody can do it. How will you meditate on nothing? There must be always something. Therefore, meditation, best meditation is that when we meditate on Krishna's form, Krishna's pastime, and meditate upon how I can serve Krishna, how can I please Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna mentioned to Arjuna, what is that? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmarayu decha madar pitamano buddhir mam evashiyashi samsaya. So Krishna mentioned to Arjuna, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, in all time, therefore, tasmat, therefore, in all time, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara, always remember about me. And Srila Prabhupada, interestingly, he translate like this: always remember of me in the form of Krishna. Yeah, not that in the form of something impersonal, as the Mayavadi would say, that's something within Krishna. But there is no difference between Krishna and someone who is within Krishna. Krishna is absolute. So, mam anusmara yudhyacha. While you are doing your prescribed duties of fighting, yudhya, always remember me in the form of Krishna. That's how Srila Prabhupada translate for our benefit in order to give clarification to whom we should meditate. Maya arpita mano bhudir, and use your intelligence, your bhudir, in serving me, in thinking about me. Meditate upon mam evaishyashi asangsaya. And by the end of your life, there is no doubt you will come to me. Krishna promised that in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, it is mentioned here, meditation means we meditate in the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the activities, janma, karma, chami, divyam, the Lord said, service of the Lord. So we have to meditate also. How can I serve Krishna? This is the mood of the devotees. Yeah, meditation does not mean anything personal or void. In the Vishnu Dharma, there is a statement about meditation of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. It is said, persons who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness and who remember the transcendental qualities of the Lord become free from all reaction to sinful activities. And after being so cleansed they become fit to enter into the kingdom of God. In other words, no one can enter into the kingdom of God without being freed from all sinful reactions. One can avoid sinful reactions simply by remembering the Lord's form, qualities, pastime, etc. So the very fact that when we just remember about Krishna, that's actually destroy our sinful reactions since millions of times, since millions of lifetimes. And what speak of we chant his name, engage directly in Krishna's service, or even higher to that, actually, devotee service. We're going to discuss this a bit later. So that's about meditation. Meditation means we remember Krishna, Krishna's form, pastimes, qualities, and service to Krishna also. Very, very important. When we contemplate, actually, how can I do this service to please Guru and Krishna? That's actually real meditation. That's real meditation. Yeah. So this is toward the end of the chapter, actually. Still in the topic of meditation. Srila Prabhupada narrating the story in the Brahma Vaivara, from the Brahma Vaivara Purana, where that there was a Brahmana, old Brahmana. He was simply meditating. This is a very famous story. We heard this many times. I believe that simply by meditating, that he was cooking a sweet rice. He was cooking sweet rice in his meditation because he was hearing from the sadhus that actually Krishna can accept also manasa seva, and that's the highest form of service. That's the highest form of service, manasa seva. But of course, we should not take advantage of this. Oh, I'm lying on my bed, and then 4:30. Okay, I just meditate that I'm taking bath, going to the temple for Mangalarati. This is not our level. But the fact is that Manasa Seva is actually the highest form, highest type of service. Therefore, when this Brahmana heard that description, that yeah, Manasa Seva is the topmost, then he started to one day after he was taking bath as a Brahmana, taking bath and then performing this ritualistic ceremony, Gayatri, whatever. And then he was in his meditation, he was preparing some sweet rice for the Lord. And of course, sweet rice is best to be offered when it is cold. But then, because in his meditation, he just finished cooking, so the sweet rice still fresh, still hot. So he would wait for some time before offering to Krishna. And then in his meditation, he wanted to check whether the sweet rice already cold or not. And then in his meditation, he touched the sweet rice, and then he got burned, his finger got burned. And what happened to that Brahmana? The Lord came, suddenly the Lord came. He broke his meditation because he really felt that his finger burned. And then the Lord came and then brought him to the Vaikuntha plant. So that's the end of the chapter. We are discussing about hearing, about remembering, and meditation also. On this chapter, there are various scripture evidences given by Rupa Goswami and elaborated by Srila Prabhupada. Whether any question or comment, it's your time now. Hare Krishna. If there is no comment or question, I shall continue to the next chapter. Yeah. So now chapter number.
Prabhuji, not a question, just is it recording is not happening, Prabhu? Is it? Yes.
I'm doing the live streaming YouTube.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have to upload. Upload, because I find this method is easier. It's simple.
Yeah.
Just do it like this, live streaming. And as soon as the class is finished and the meeting is over, it's automatically there already in the YouTube.
Wow,
so
thank you, Prabhuji.
I don't have to record and
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Sorry to disturb. Yeah.
No, that's fine. That means you are attentive. Oh, something is missing here. Hare Krishna. All right, so we are continuing to chapter 11, still pretty the same. Rupa Goswami, he gives the evidence, scriptural evidence for items 47 through 53 of the 64 angas of bhakti, with emphasis on servitude, friendship, and surrender. So we are talking about Dasya, Sakya, and about the Saranagati, fully surrender. Servitorship. In the opinion of the karmis, creative workers, offering the result of karma is called servitorship. But according to Vaishnava acharyas like Rupa Goswami, servitorship means constant engagement in some kind of service of the Lord. This is called servitorship. Of course, when we offer the result of our activities for the pleasure of the Lord also. That is called service also. But the difference is that the karmis, they wanted to enjoy the result of their activities, and the Vaisnavas, they simply do it for the pleasure of the Lord. But of course, the karmis, the main idea of the karmis is that they are worshipping the demigods. And the devotees, when the devotees want to enjoy the result of his activities, so it seems like karma kanda, right? But actually that is called karma yoga because we are offering it to Krishna. The very meaning of yoga is that when we connect ourselves to Krishna. So this is the difference. Srila Rupa Goswami describes one who is fit for becoming engaged in devotional service. He says that person who are neophytes and who have developed a little love of Godhead are not interested in the activities of sense gratification. So very interesting here. Rupa Goswami mentioned that a neophyte who have developed a little love of Godhead are not interested in the activities of sense gratification. So from this point, we can understand actually in which position now are we. We are not even neophyte. We are not even neophyte because still we have so much, demand in our mind, in our heart for enjoying the senses. But if slightly we just develop love for Krishna, we don't have any interest for sense gratification. But at least up to some extent, we already cured from the disease of our material fever, enjoying the sense gratification, at least in proportion to their devotion. But if there is still some attraction for sense gratifying activities, then the result of such activities should be offered to Krishna. This is called karma yoga. This is called uh, uh, what is there's niskama karma and then sakama karma. It's called sakama karma yoga, or sometimes it is called uh, karma mishra bhakti, because our devotion still mixed with the mentality to enjoy. But that's fine, still better than the karmis. Rather than worshipping the demigods, performing some ritualistic ceremony mentioned in the Vedas, karma kandas. The idea of karma kanda is actually worshipping the demigods. But when somebody worshipped Krishna, like Dhruva, so he was performing karma yoga, intense. This is also called engagement in the service of the Lord, with the Lord as the master and the worker as servant. Yeah, so that's fine. Akama sarva kama wa moksa kama udara didi. Tivrina bhakti yogina yajeta purusham param. In the beginning stage, everybody has material desire. We can't deny it. Everybody has material desire. And that's okay. That's okay. Rather than we approach the demigods, antavatu palante sam, tadbhavati alpameda sam. The result of demigod worship is limited and also temporary. But when we worship Krishna, although with some material motivation, still we get some spiritual credit. And that credit is eternal. So that about servitorship. Servitorship means we are giving something to Krishna, whether it is the body, mind, words, yeah, servitorship, the mood of serving the Lord. And then devotional service in friendship. This is called Sakya. This picture is Krishna's picture with Gopal Kumar, very famous narration in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita about Gopal Kumar. Anyway, devotional service in friendship can be divided into two categories. The first is to act as the confidential servant of the Lord, and the other is to act as the well-wisher of the Lord. So let us talk about this first. First is to act as confidential servant of the Lord. What does it mean? So just like the Gopas in Vrindavan, this is called Sakya, when they are serving Krishna in the friendship mood. But still in that friendship, they wanted to serve Krishna. For example, like Arjun Saka. Arjun Saka is one of the closest friend of Lord Krishna, Arjun Saka, and many other devotees also. So this Arjun Saka is very special Gopa, that although he is in the friendship level actually, in the Sakya Ras, but when he was fanning Krishna, I think I was mentioned this previous class, that when he was fanning Krishna, so immediately he was developing symptoms of being ecstatic. So his eyes full of tears and his body was shivering. And as a result, he couldn't see Krishna. And because his body was shivering, so he was panning into another direction. So he was cursing himself that may this ecstatic symptom will never come again upon me. Otherwise, how can I serve Krishna? See, this is his mood. Although he is Krishna's friend, but his mood is to serve Krishna. That is friendship in the servitorship. And then the second type of friendship is that when a friend is acting as a well-wisher, like the many Gopas when Krishna jumped into the water to subdue the Kalya Naga. So many Gopas, they just fell on the ground unconscious. That they are hoping that I hope nothing happened to Krishna, nothing bad happened to Krishna, nothing happened bad to Krishna. So they are having this feeling, they wanted to protect Krishna. They're worried about Krishna. The devotee who has confidence in devotional service to the Lord systematically follows the rules and regulation with the faith that he will achieve the platform of transcendental life. The second type of devotional friendship is to become a well-wisher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord accepts a preacher as the most dear servant. Anyone who is preaching the confidential message of the Gita to the people in general is so dear to Krishna that no one can be equal to him in human society. Yeah. Tachatasman manusyeshu kashin me priya kritamaha bhavitana chame tasmat anya priya tarubu. Krishna says this to Arjun, that those who are preacher, those who are sharing this knowledge, Krishna consciousness to other devotees. Interestingly, Krishna mentioned there to other devotees. Why not to general people? To other devotees, because Krishna also giving the instruction to Arjuna that what said, idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya. So Krishna said that don't preach this Krishna consciousness philosophy to those who are idamte na tapaskaya, to those who are not austere, na bhaktaya, to the non-devotees. You see, na bhaktaya kadachana, na cha susru savevacham, to those who have no interest to hear about Krishna consciousness philosophy. Na cha susru savevacham, na cha mamyo abhyasuyati, and those who are not surrendering to me. Don't preach this. Why? Because the idea is that they may become offensive, both against the devotees and also against the Lord. Therefore, Krishna mentioned that don't preach to those who are not austere, non-devotees, not surrendering to me, or not having some affinity, interest. Okay, it's okay maybe to preach to the non-devotees if they are willing to hear. That's a good sign. But if they reject from the beginning, better to avoid, because the idea is that they may become very offensive, because they may get annoyed and start blaspheming, saying bad words, for example, like that. Therefore, Krishna doesn't want that. Just to protect the devotees, that is Krishna's intention, to protect the devotees of being insulted. When Krishna is being insulted, okay, he's okay with that. But when his devotee is being insulted, Krishna cannot tolerate that. Therefore, Krishna mentioned that don't preach to the non-devotees, to the demon. It's dangerous for you. But the devotee said, no problem. Whether we are living in the heaven or hell, we're gonna preach. This is the mentality of the devotees. Yeah. Swarga pavarga narakesu api tulya tadarshina narayana para sarve na kutaschana bibyati swarga pavarga narakesu api tulya tadarshina. Lord Shiva glorify the devotees of the Lord in the front of Parvati. That the devotees they don't feel afraid whether they live in the Swarga, in the heaven, in the Naraka, in the hell, or in Vaikuntha. No problem for them. They remain engaged in Krishna consciousness. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that the devotees, whether they are in hell or heaven, they will continue the Sankirtan movement. This is from the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Very interesting. Yeah. So that's about this preaching, yeah, to become well-wisher. Well-wisher. Mm. Those who are preacher, Nachatasman Manuseshvi, very dear to Krishna, because Krishna is seeing their intention, the soft-heartedness of the devotees. Yeah. Tavakatamritam tatta jivanam is Gopi Gita prayers, the song by the gopis. Tavakatamritam tatta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmasapa sravanamangalam srimadatatam bhuvi grinanti jiburidaja. So those who are preaching Krishna consciousness, actually they are the most munificent people, most very, very kind, very, very kind, because Tavakata amritam tapta jivanam. This katha, glorification of Krishna, is the amrita for those who are suffering jiva, for the suffering jivas in the material, in the desert of the material world. Tapta jivanam kavibhir. Kavibhi means broad-minded people. Kavibhir iditam kalamasa apama. And the broad-minded people, they understand that this is the only elixir, we can say this Hare Krishna. Somebody was calling me. This is the nectar for those who are in the desert. Kavibir iditam kalmasa. Kalmasa means they are suffering. And the intelligent person will preach Krishna consciousness. Give this nectar. Right? Therefore, preachers are very, very dear to Krishna. And then next one is surrendering everything to the Lord. This is called Saranagati. The self-surrender is called Atma Nivedana. Atma Nivedana. According to different authorities, self is differently defined. Self is sometimes considered to refer to the spirit self or soul, and self is sometimes considered to refer to the mind or body or to the body. Full surrender, full self-surrender, therefore means not only surrendering oneself as spirit soul, but also surrendering one's mind and body to the service of the Lord. Prabhupada also quoted the song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yeah, where it is. You'll find it. In the Hari Bhakti Viveka, there is a statement regarding how one can offer his body in self-surrender. There the devotee says, "My dear Lord, as a souled animal has no need to think about his maintenance and sustenance, so because I have given up my body and soul unto you, I am no longer concerned with my maintenance and sustenance." In other words, one should not bother about his personal or family maintenance or sustenance. If one is actually surrendered in body and soul, one should always remember that his only concern is to be engaged in the service of the Lord. Yeah, this is what Predwa Gopur Bir. come back to that prayer again, for Brahma's prayer. Yeah, in this section, Srila Prabhupada also quoted the song given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that song, Manasa Deho Giho, Jo Kichu Mora, Ar Pilu Tuya Pade Nanda Kichu. So if you read that paragraph, you will find that Prabhupada quoting that song given by, written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that Manasa, mind, Deho, body, Geho, and house, Joki Chumura, and all wealth and whatever I have, Nanda Kishora, to the son of Nanda Maharaj. So this is the mood of the devotees, the pure devotees. Of course, we are talking about pure devotees. Yeah, Ihaya Shya Haridashi, Karmana Manasagira. So as it is mentioned here, the word Atma, Atma Nivedana. Atma means also the mind, Atma means the self, Atma means the soul. Atma means also sometimes senses. So Atma Nivedana means fully surrender. That means we fully surrendering our mind, words, senses, body, soul, everything. That's why our Vaisnava sannyasi, we have three danda. Okay, there are three bamboo stick in a danda of our sannyasi. That refers to the mind, body, and soul. But the Mayawadi sannyasi, they have ekadanda, because they have the idea of becoming one, becoming one with God, which is impossible. That's why in the Chaitanya Lila, interestingly, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, so he was carrying his danda, but ekadanda. When Lord Nityananda came, he saw he was, frustrated. Why Gauranga is carrying this danda? And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took bath, secretly, uh, Nityananda Prabhu took that danda and then broke it into three pieces. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came back, he was dancing and then asking, "Hey, why my danda is broken like this?" And Nityananda said, "Oh, my Lord, when you dance, you are jumping up and down. You are completely absorbed. You are completely in ecstasy. So by chance, when you jump and then you fall on the ground, you hit your danda and you broke it." And this danda is also an impediment for you to dance. So if you just give up this danda, you will dance ecstatically. But when you hold danda, that is an impediment. But of course, that's very significant because Nityananda broke that danda into three pieces. Yeah. Sarvo padi vinirmuktam. That verse also, yeah. Sarvo padi vinirmuktam. Aradvena nirmala. Rasikena rasikesha. So service means to engage our different senses, bodily limbs to the Lord. So service, of course, we heard many times that Krishna is known as the Bhavagrahi Janardan. He sees the essence, the bhava, the essence of one's heart. He sees your ecstatic feeling. He sees your emotion. But in bhakti, uh, activities also matter. Of course, this should be combined together between action and feeling and intention. Yeah, simply having feeling, but we are not doing properly. That's also not so accepted. But it should be combined, and then it will become perfect. Will become perfect. Of course, there are so many example, like the wife of Mahatma Vidura. Out of her ecstatic love, she was completely privileged. I would say, like she was completely privileged. She was like forgetting everything around, and then giving Krishna the peel of the banana instead of giving the banana pulp. She was giving the peel. So Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardan. He sees the intentions. Yeah. And then, yeah, different places like the Brahmana in the South India who was reading the Bhagavad Gita upside down. Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also appreciated that because he sees his mood, his bhava. But still, when bhava combined together along with action, because we have to realize, we have to understand that in which platform we are now. We cannot pretend like, let me do something. The main thing is that I have bhava. No, as sadhakas, those who are performing sadhana bhakti. So correct action and correct intention is needed. They are needed. When these both are combined together, and that service becomes perfect. And continued, Rupa Goswami says that devotional service in friendship, Shakya Ras, Sakya and Atmanivedana, devotional service in self-surrender are two difficult processes. Therefore, such a relationship with the Lord can very rarely be seen. Only for the advanced devotees are these two processes easily executed. The purport is that it is very rare to see a surrender which is mixed with sincere ecstatic devotion. One must give himself completely to the will of the Lord. That means whatever Krishna wants. My business is just to serve Krishna. Ananya Chintayantua. Yeah. Prabhupada gave the example like an animal, purchase animal, does not need to be worried about his maintenance, sustenance, whatever, because he has a master, just like an animal has a master, like a dog has a master. That dog doesn't have to be worried about where the food will come from. The dog's duty is just to guard the house. That's it. Ananya Chintayantu Mam Ijana Paripasate Tesam Nitya Bhuktanam Yogaksemam Vahamyam. Krishna will provide and Krishna will protect. That's it. We have to have a firm faith on Krishna's statement, Krishna's promise in the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, so similarly, the devotees also like that. We have to remain faithful in Krishna's service, and we don't have to really worry about our maintenance. Doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. We do, but not over endeavor, prayasa. We have to avoid this and continue our service to Krishna. Okay, today I get $100, so tomorrow that $100 may not come again. But still, even if we don't get another $100 tomorrow, we still continue our service. That's how Krishna wants it. And by this $100, maybe that enough to cover the whole month, for example, like this. Just continue serving Krishna. Lakshmi will come and Lakshmi will go. Therefore, another name of Lakshmi is Chanchala. He always jump here and there to fulfill the desire, material desire of the Lord's devotee, of the Lord's devotees. Therefore, actually, Lakshmi Devi, she always feeling jealous, to Tulasi Devi, because Tulasi always remains stick in Krishna's lotus feet. And although Lakshmi Devi get the privilege of being hugged by Lord Narayan, but when the Lord's devotees, they want something or they need something to maintain themselves, Lakshmi, she has to go there personally to provide. Therefore, she has to go and come back. But Tulasi Devi remain attached with the Lord. Sometimes Lakshmi complained that, oh, I'm not as fortunate as Tulasi Devi. So don't worry, because when we serve the Lord with pure, unmotivated devotional service, the Lord is purchased by us. Bikrineta swam atmanam, Krishna says. Bikrineta swam atmanam. I am purchased by such devotees. Bhaktedyo Bhakta Vatsala. Because Krishna is the Bhakta Vatsala. He is ready to reciprocate with his devotees. And he doesn't want to be indebted, as it is mentioned by Chanakya Pandit, that there are two types of people who are always suffering. One is who has digestion problem, and the another one is who has debt. Yeah, doesn't matter how rich you are. If you have digestion problem, you cannot enjoy food. Then what is the use of your wealth if you cannot enjoy food? And also, those who are uh, having debt, having debt means you are always in anxiety. You are always in anxiety because you are thinking that, oh, I have to earn such amount of money. I have to pay my debt. I have to pay my bills, this and that. Oh, this debt collector will come in such and such date. Where I should hide? I don't have money. Where should I hide? Because I got the experience of becoming a debt collector in a private bank when I was 19 years old. I was working in a private bank as a debt collector. So my what do you call this, debtor, those who are borrowing money from the bank. So when the date comes, in a particular month, when the date comes, so I have to come to collect the money along with the interest. So when they don't have money, so they will hide somewhere. So they are always in anxieties, and sometimes I feel guilty. Actually, this kind of occupation is so bad. I'm putting people in anxiety, but still, that's also their fault why they are borrowing money. Therefore, those who have digestion problem and those who are indebted, they will never be happy. And Krishna's nature is that immediately he wants to reciprocate. He doesn't want to be indebted. When he took the oha from Sudama, immediately Rukmini sent a lot of wealth for Sudama. She changed Sudama's cottage into a beautiful palace. She sent a lot of maidservants, wealth, ornaments, like this. So these two things, Saranagati and Atmanivedana, Sakyam and Atmanivedana, out of the 9 processes of devotional service, explained by Prahlad Maharaj, the last two, Sakyam and Atmanivedana, are very rare to be seen. That was Rupa Goswami's explanation. And then offering a favorite article. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, verse 41, Lord Krishna tells Sudava, my dear friend, if someone offers me the best thing in his possession or anything which is very pleasing to him, he will be eternally benedicted. Why? Because that shows how much we love Krishna. When we have something very dear to us, very dear to us, but for Krishna's pleasure, we're ready to give it up. We offer it to Krishna. Like one devotee, he's not here, he's one of the students, but he's showing a very good example. I'm not trying to minimize any other devotees in this assembly, but I know this devotee, Sripati Prabhu, one of my close friends. So he has a car. He has a car, and when he know that his spiritual master needs a car for traveling, for preaching, he gives his car. He gave entirely. You take this car, Maharaj, you use it. If anything broken, you tell me, I'm gonna fix it. So he surrendered his car. That car is who is not dear to his car? Tell me. Everybody who purchase a car, that car will be maybe one of the dearest thing in life. You always clean it. If some scratch is there, immediately you feel like you worry so much. Scratch. And he sacrificed this car for his spiritual master to travel, to preach all over India. Very exemplary uh, devotee. Yeah. So similarly, that should be our aspiration. That whatever we have, especially when it is very dear to us, that's actually a biggest attachment in life. Whatever materially speaking, whatever material speaking very dear to us, that's actually the biggest attachment in our life. But when that attachment, we can give it up for pleasure of Lord Krishna. That will make Krishna very, very happy. For example, also this applicable like this. For example, we still like to uh, mingle on Facebook, for example. I'm talking about simple example. We still love to mingle on Facebook and scrolling up and down without any purpose. And while chanting japa also, we are playing on Facebook, because I have seen many devotees doing it. You know, one of my reason why I stopped using Facebook, because I was entrapped so much on Facebook. Believe me, I was, you know, playing on Facebook maybe like up to 8 hours per day, unconsciously, almost every minute, every second, because phone is there, so all the time. Something always curious, what is going on, what is the new updates, who is writing new status, who's posting new pictures like this. So unconsciously, like, and then I realized, okay, let me just quit from Facebook. I'm not saying Facebook is bad. You can use it also for preaching base. Yeah, it's okay. But I would say like this: when we change japa, for example, because our attachment with Facebook is too strong, and therefore this Mr. Sriman Facebook becoming our dear most in life. But if you can give up that Facebook at the time of our chanting japa especially, Krishna will be very pleased. That means we are giving up that Facebook for Krishna's pleasure. Of course, it is mentioned here that it's related to wealth mostly here, that whatever we have, money, wealth that we have, should be offered to Krishna, construct temples like this, and then performing all endeavors for Krishna. Not only should the devotee engage himself in the prescribed duties of devotional service which are mentioned in the revealed scriptures, but he should also perform the duties of his practical life in Krishna consciousness. For example, a devotee who has great establishment or factory may offer the fruits of such material possession for the service of the Lord. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, verse 41, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, my dear friend, if someone offers me the best thing in his possession or anything which is very pleasing to him, he will be eternally benefited. So, when we offer something which is very dear to us, to Krishna, that's actually not for this movement's benefit, but it's for our benefit. This Patram Puspam Palam Toyam verse, Prabhupada many times he quoted, it is not that Krishna in need of leaf, patram, puspam, flower, palam, fruit, toyam, water. She even lay down in the ocean of milk. What is there? Just a cup of water. He doesn't need this. But why we offer it? It is for our benefit. Because we are eternally benefit. Krishna is Atmaram. He is fully satisfied, self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything. But when we offer with love, he accepts. Why he accepts? Because he wants to benefit us. That's the thing. So similarly, when we give something to ISKCON, for example, it is not for the benefit of ISKCON. It is for our benefit, because we get the spiritual credit by which this punya, it is not material punya, it is spiritual transcendental punya, by which it helps us actually to develop our Krishna consciousness. And accordingly, as Srila Prabhupada explained here, that if you are rich, you offer a lot. If you have nothing, at least Patram Puspam Palampaya. In the purport to that verse, Srila Prabhupada explained that even the poorest people can engage in Krishna's service. At least water, at least flower. It is available everywhere. Srila Prabhupada explained in that 9.26. Everybody must read this purport. It's very deep, interesting. So just like Jatayu also here, I put the picture of Jatayu. Like he's old. He's old. He has no power. He knew that he's gonna smash by Ravana, but still, he just want to do some service according to his ability. Okay, and he sacrificed his life, and what happened at the end of his life? Lord Ram came, and then Lord Ram put his head on Lord Ram's lap, and then he was leaving his body while chanting Lord Ram's name. And he got the eternal benefit. You go back to eternal Ayodhya. If he doesn't sacrifice his wings, his body, he may not be meeting Lord Ram. You see, everything is already arranged. When we just have a desire to surrender to Krishna, Krishna will show us the path. And that also should be according to our capacity. If we can offer something big, offer it. We should not doubt when we give Krishna something, because after all, everything is belong to Krishna. Being a surrendered soul. Yeah. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there is a following statement about self-surrender. My dear Lord, a person who has surrendered himself unto you, who is in a firm conviction that he is yours, and who actually acts in that way by his body, mind, and words, actually relish transcendental bliss. So relishing transcendental bliss, when we fully surrender to Krishna, that's actually the stage where we can always be happy all the time. Maya nanyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dhridam matrite tyakta karmanas tyaktva swajana bandhana. So when a devotee fully surrender to Krishna, Maya nanyena bhavena, with full love, bhava, bhaktim kurvanti ye dhridam, with full determination, dridha, dridha vrata, we hear that phrase here so many places in Bhagavad Gita. With full determination, with love, to surrender to Krishna, act serving Krishna. Matkrite tyakta karmanas, he is ready to give up everything. He is ready to give up his material occupation. Matkrite tyakta karmanas, tyakta swajana bandhana. So what is the most binding elements in life? That is swajana, our relative, family. Therefore, the Varnashram institution is very important, because for those who are grihasta, we have to plan actually when we are going to quit this field. We have to plan. As soon as we enter grihasta, we have to immediately plan, when will I enter vanaprastha. Yeah, because vanaprastha will help us actually to slacken our attachment to our swajana, to our family members. Matkrite tyakta karmanas tyakva swajana bandhava. Because this swajana is very, very deep rooted, not in our heart, very strong. Pumsastriya maituni bhavametam tayormito haridaya granti. It's called haridaya granti. It is the knot within the heart. Therefore, vanaprastha ashram helped us to, slacken our attachment to our family members. Please don't misunderstand that when I say to slacken our attachment, it doesn't mean that we become irresponsible toward our family members. So before taking vanaprastha ashram, we have ensured that our wives should be taken care properly by our grown-up children, especially son. We don't have son, so son-in-law first get the daughter married, because according to Vedic tradition, and also in Indian culture. So when I was telling my friends in Indonesia, although they are devotees, they don't know that actually in India, if people get married, the woman's side will pay the dowry, will give the dowry. Yeah, the girl side will give dowry. But in my country, in Indonesia, men will give dowry. So when I was telling my friends like this, because my vivaha ceremony was here in Mayapur, so I was telling my friends, oh, my mother-in-law paid dowry to me. Huh? My friend was like, whoa, really? Why? Yeah, because it is the Vedic culture actually. So why women pay to the men? Because once this lady, girls, becoming the wife of this man, this man, his main responsibility is that he should be able to take her, go back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, she must pay as much as she can, because it is his responsibility to bring her to go back home, back to Godhead. And you cannot pay with $1 million to go back home. Back. You cannot bribe Jai and Vijay that you give $1 million, can I enter Vaikuntha? No, you cannot do like that. So therefore, husband's responsibility. Yeah. So before come back again to that topic, before taking Vanaprastha, we should ensure that our wife should be taken care by our grown-up son or son-in-law. That's first thing. That's first thing. Otherwise, it's simply um, hypocrisy. I would say like that. It is false when you just taking Vanaprastha ashram out of being irresponsible. Oh, you quarrel so much with your wife. Let me take Vanaprastha now. This is a wrong conception. The aim of taking Vanaprastha is that because you want to devote your time more to preach Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Vanaprastha's duty is to retire in order to preach Krishna consciousness. That's it. And as you are preaching Krishna consciousness, actually that will slacken your attachment to your family members. When there is no more material attachment, then you can give up this body very peacefully. To those who are too attached with his family members, to give up the body is very painful, very painful. At the time of death is very painful, because you are thinking like, oh, what about this, my sons, my daughter, and my bank balance there, my wife, this and that, oh, so many things. But when you don't have any attachment, okay, just remember about Krishna. That's it. Mamupetya punarjanma dukalayam asasvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata. So napnuvanti mahatmana. Those who attain Krishna's abode will never return again. How we can attain that abode? By Narayana Smriti. So how to get that stage, Ante Narayana Smriti? By engaging our body, mind, words. Then we can be eternally benefited and blissful. Life will become so blissful when we are fully surrendered to Krishna. That's the philosophy. That's the fact. Tried it out. I'm also not experiencing bliss. Why I'm not blissful? Because I'm not fully surrendered. Not using my body 100% for Krishna service. My mind still here and there. Words talks a lot of nonsense. Therefore, I'm not relishing the transcendental bliss. But this is the statement of the scriptures supported by our Acharya. It is the fact, and let us now check it out. To the degree of our surrendering, of course, Krishna will reciprocate. Ye yatha mam prapadyanti. If we surrender 50%, so transcendental bliss that we get is only 50%. But 100% we surrender, we'll get 100% transcendental bliss. Serving trees such as Tulasi. In the Skanda Purana, there is another statement about Tulasi as follows. Tulasi is auspicious in all aspects, simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing before, simply by hearing about, simply by sowing this tree. There is always auspiciousness. Anyone who comes in touch with the Tulasi tree in the above mentioned ways lives eternally in the Vaikuntha world. You see, because Tulasi is very, very dear to Krishna. Tulasi dalama treva jalasya chuluke nava. So without Tulasi, Krishna will not accept any offering. Any offering, Krishna will not accept. Then in some particular situations, circumstances where we cannot get Tulasi, so at least mentally, we have to invite Tulasi Devi to appear in our bhoga offering. Pray to Tulasi kindly appear here, then Krishna will take. Otherwise, Krishna will not take. This also this tilak, symbol of our tilak is this tulsi leaf. Why? Because without pure devotee mercy, without pure devotee's mercy, we cannot approach Krishna. So this tulsi leaf, we are having this tulsi mala, our beads also, as much as possible. Okay, maybe if you are in a difficult situation, you may sometimes chant with clicker. Many devotees chanting using clicker, but it is very significant actually. Why our spiritual master giving us tulsi beads at the time of initiation? Because he wants us to chant our rounds properly with tulsi. Because this tulsi is the via media, the bridge, someone who recommend you to Krishna. Just like if you want to meet the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, for example, if you just go there to the I don't know what you call this White House, for example, you just go by yourself, you will be catched and kicked out. But if you have a close friend of Narendra Modi or his servant who will take you there, recommend you, this person is a nice person, he's safe, he's not a terrorist, he want to talk to you, then you can meet him. So similarly, Krishna also like that. So this Tulasi, when we chant, of course, when we chant, it is mentioned that, oh, Krishna is dancing in our tongue. Yeah, Krishna is dancing in our tongue. But by the help of Tulasi Maharani also, Tulasi Maharani will recommend us to Krishna that this devotee is chanting so nicely. Please accept like that. So that's very significant. Tulasi, and of course, from the material perspective, point of view, that Tulasi is a very, you know, it is a medical plant. And so both actually, Tulasi, both giving uh, material and spiritual benefit actually. But as Vaishnavas, we have to, to see in a more prominent way from the aspect of how can I advance in Krishna consciousness, and by serving Tulsi, we can have some advancement. And yeah, simply as it is mentioned here, by remembering, just remember, pray, offer obeisances to Tulsi, circumambulate, yeah, or taking care of Tulsi, giving water and removing the dry branches and plucking the manjari very carefully and offer it to Krishna. This is a great service. That's how we serve Tulsi. And avoid to pluck the Tulsi, manjari, Tulsi leaves on the day of Ekadasi and Dwadasi, because Tulasi Maharani is fasting on that day. So we should not hurt her. Yeah. And Dwadasi also, she needs to recover from her fasting. See, that's why we should not pluck Tulasi on the day of Ekadasi and Dwadasi. Pluck before or pluck after. Yeah, that's the end of chapter 11. We have 5 minutes. I'm not so confident that we can cover the next chapter. Please forgive me, I talk so much. Finally, we cannot cover another one chapter. So I will stop here. Whether any question or comments before we close our today's class? Hare Krishna. Okay, if there is no points to be discussed, uh, yeah, I thank you very much for attending our today's class, and forgive me that few days ago I was busy, so I have to skip the class. So hopefully in the next, the future, there will be no more impediments, so we can quickly finish up our uh, course. Yeah, because I realize that I skip quite often, not quite often, but yeah, skip many times also not so good. Yeah, and oh yeah, There is a question here. Um, by Nagarjun Prabhu. In India, many ladies do worship Tulasi without knowing importance of her. How much benefit they can get, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Nice questions. Actually, yeah, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that even in India, the non-devotees also, they know the value of Tulasi, and Tulasi is being a sacred tree, and people worship Tulasi tree, even if they are non-Vaishnava, even they are non-Vaishnava. This is actually the advantage of being born in India. India is called Punya Bhumi, Bharat Bhumi te hoilo manushya janmaja. This Bharat Varsha, India is a Punya Bhumi, full of uh, piety actually. Therefore, it is just by tradition, just by tradition, people in India, they always respect Tulasi. Srila Prabhupada said that even in the big city, I don't know if you read that section later, if you cannot find it now, you read it. That even in India, in a big city where it is very difficult to grow some plants, still people in India, they will keep Tulasi in their house. They will water them. They will offer obeisances, respect to Tulasi. But what benefit they will get? Of course, they will get benefit, yeah, even though unknowingly. Just like you touch fire, whether you know fire will burn you or you don't know, still you will get burned. So similarly, worshipping Tulasi also, you know or you don't know her glories when you just offer respect. So you water them, care for them, you will get Agyata Sukriti. And this will help you, if not in this lifetime, maybe in the next lifetime. Yesam Tvantagatamapam Jananam Punya Karma. So Baladev Vidyabhushana explained that this Punya Karmanam is not material Punya, but it is unknown devotional activities. It is called Agyata Sukriti. So this is the glories of uh, Bharat, uh, or India. Yeah, people born with such a culture. You know, sometimes also I see here that like the people, the pilgrims who are visiting Mayapur, for example, they are all from village, but they are so cultured. They are so cultured. When we are doing Harinam, these villagers, they bow down to us. They bow down to us. They wanted to touch our feet, you know, because they're born with such a culture. Rather, the devotees just ignore us. Sometimes I think like this. Oh, these people actually they have more feeling, more culture, and they are so meek. This I mean, like the villages, they are very simple. Of course, it is culture, and it's always great. That is actually their advantage to be born in India. To be born in India. So regarding your question, even if they don't know so much about her glories, like in India also, uh, like people, some people they are fasting on Ekadasi, although if they are non-Vaishnavas, of course, that's for maybe karma kanda, but still they get some benefit, some credit, spiritual credit, and if not in this lifetime, maybe in the next lifetime they will become devotee. But for sure, because Tulayama lavenapi na swarga na punarbhava bhagavat sangi sangasya matyanam kimutasisa. So Tulayama lavenapi, slight moment association with the pure devotees of the Lord will benefit us eternally. Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya. And who's Tulasi Maharani? She is a great devotee, pure devotee. What to speak if you offer obeisances to Tulasi Maharani, even if you are non-devotees, still you get the benefit. So sooner or later you will become devotees. But in contrary, like I have seen in Cambodia, in Thailand, even in Indonesia also, people they are cooking tulasi. They are cutting their branch and cooking tulasi. This is actually the offense. And for them, they will degrade their life because they are offending Vaishnavis, such as. But people in India, they respect. And that's your glories actually, Indian body. Of course, this is called skin disease by Srila Prabhupada. I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm these cat dogs. But this is the glories still, the glories of the land of Bharat. Jai Ho. Hare Krishna. All right. So thank you all very much. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam panebhyo vaishnavyo namah. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So we'll continue next week. And yeah.
Thank you,
So
Prabhuji.